guys, welcome back to another episode of the C Word Chronicles. I'm your host, Olivia.
And I'm Ribu.
Welcome back to the #1 cancer podcast in the United States.
#1 streaming podcast
Just kidding.
in all of the world.
We were talking about speaking it into existence, so
that's what's going to happen.
Back again with the weather report. I feel like it's
Tell them
necessary.
what happened last week.
We again with the bipolar Texas weather.
Yes. Was it bipolar the previous week?
Yeah. But last week we had that major freeze. I think when was it? Like midweek. We had a snow day.
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, like an official snow day.
Ice day.
Ice day. Like schools were closed.
Yeah.
You stayed home from work for a little bit, and then you had to go in.
You know what's weird about the ice?
What?
Is what happens at our house is we have trees growing in our neighbor's yard that overcome into our yard. And so all the ice accumulates on the tree and the branches break, but they break on our side, but they're still hanging onto the tree.
Right.
So whose responsibility is that?
Well, speaking of which, so I haven't seen Rib since this morning. We came in separate cars, and I was, holding it down at the house. And our neighbors, whose trees you're speaking of, he
came over?
No, the tree cutter down people.
On our side too?
But they cut the trees, and they left the stuff in our backyard.
Shut up, for real?
Yeah. So I was
Did you tell Vincent?
No, he wasn't home.
Vincent is our neighbor.
Vincent's our neighbor. He's old. I don't think he's listening.
He probably can't hear.
But he was cutting it. My mom's there, and she's like, they're cutting it, and just where it drops in our yard, they're leaving it. And so she's like, make sure the gate's unlocked before you leave. So I did, and then I gave him a good look. It said you better come get these.
Does he know?
Big ass.
Are they coming?
Yeah, I think so. So
when I get back home, if I see a branch there, I'm throwing that over the fence.
But he was really nice. I think he's one of the Jose, the people we know.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. We had a little bush war a little bit for a little bit.
That's so inappropriate.
He had a big bush. We had a bush that when we get out of the driveway, it was blocking our view. This bush probably been there for 30 years.
Yeah.
And
it was so ugly too. It's not like it was a pretty bush.
And it was one of those no one's taking care of it. It's not a big deal. And being the nice new neighbors that we are, we went over there to be hey, we're so-and-so. Would you mind if we just cut down the bush? Or we trim the bush to be nice, maybe a little smaller. We'll pay for everything.
Because we literally couldn't see backing out of the driveway.
Yeah, and we just moved in.
Yeah.
And he tells us, he's like, no. He's like, no. He's like, I'll call. I think he said I'll call someone out to cut the bush. So we come out a few days later. It's a round bush. This guy cuts the bush in half. You know what I mean? So it's what is it? A sphere. It's a nice round sphere.
Like an egg shape.
Egg shape. And instead of just trimming it into a smaller sphere,
he literally cuts
he just went
horizontal. So it's half of an egg. It looks so ugly.
That's the design he wanted. And then the tree died. And then the bush died.
Yeah. And he's still complaining about it, I feel.
Yeah.
I feel like
because he planted another one there that's now growing.
Yeah. Anyways.
That's the weather report.
So that's the update. But the weather report, the freeze was pretty rowdy. But we're live. We made it. Today, again, with the bipolarness of it all, it's warm.
It's warm. I
It's
had my AC on.
The AC is on in here.
Mm-hmm.
But projected forecast for the week is it's gonna drop a little bit later in the week.
Did you watch the news this morning?
I watched the local news this morning, doing my Senora vibes. Y'all know. And they were saying it's going to be a crazy week of a high in the beginning of the week, and then we're going to drop off. We're going to get a front coming Thursday evening.
A front of
Friday.
what's the temps?
A cold front. 32. So we could
32?
have freezing again.
What is today? What did you say right now was?
It's 70 something.
Jesus Christ!
I know. So that's the update. What do you have on the sports?
The sports report. Big news coming into Dallas. I'm from Dallas. I'm a big Dallas sports fan. Kyrie Irving is coming to Dallas. It's exciting because I don't think since I've been born there's been a superstar coming to a Dallas team. And you even knew Kyrie Irving's coming to Dallas before I even told you.
I did, because you were golfing, and
that's how you know the news is big.
Yes, you didn't get to tell me, and I was like, oh, he's gonna come home and be pretty hype about this.
Yeah, I was pretty hype, and I'm hyped because I don't think we had a chance with the current team we had, and not saying that this is an addition that's going to work. We don't know if Kyrie's even going to play, but at least we're taking a shot at something,
Yeah.
right?
So it's going to be like him and Luca is the
There's a lot of controversy surrounding it. Will it work out? Will it? Won't it work? Will the team gel? Will Kyrie even play?
When they say will he even play, like why would he not play?
Because last year he didn't play. He didn't want to get the vaccine, and there was like a mandate that.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Yeah, and so
I remember that drama.
He didn't play in his own to his right, but
sports is so dramatic. Y'all guys get on to us about like our reality drama TV, but y'all watch so much sports, and then you have to do the highlights after it. You have to watch a show that that picks it apart in detail, and then is very dramatic. Like they're
the same thing
always
as you.
yelling.
It's the same thing as you.
Like,
you were literally watching.
Where they're all, the only one I like is the one with Shaq and Charles Barkley, because
But you were doing the same thing with Mascara Gate. 10 different TikToks, 10 different YouTubes is literally the same thing.
Shout out if you've been a part of.
I know all about Mascara Gate so much that I want to wear mascara
on TikTok.
How much I know.
I think that is just my 2 cents on that.
I even know Michaela. like you know Kyrie. I know Michaela.
14 million
Why, Michaela?
followers.
Why would you do this?
You know, John, have you heard of Mascara Gate? Oh, jeez. Okay.
You know, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm gonna inform you really quick.
A lot of controversy.
For this makeup influencer got a deal with a big mascara company, L'Oreal. L'Oreal, to promote a mascara launch, right? And so she's doing it, and the frame is really up close and like tight on her face, right? She's like, "This is the best mascara I've ever tried." Blah blah blah. Like, let's see how it performs. Then she turns, and like in the next clip, she has like these fanned out, thick
clustered, I've heard,
lashes. So she got called out because everyone's like, "Girl, why are you wearing false lashes?" That's like so misleading when you're trying to promote this product.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she denied it, but she just stayed really quiet.
But it's a big thing in the sport.
Probably a 60 million views on that video. And so that was like what they called Mascara Gate. It's like, how could somebody lie and to our faces? Those are clearly false lashes. She's saying it's just the mascara. And then L'Oreal was like, I don't know what they said, but people were like, come on, L'Oreal. Like, why are you paying somebody to promote it in a false way?
Is it L'Oreal or is it Michaela?
And then that's what we're trying to figure out. That was the question. That's the Mascara Gate of it all.
Michaela, Kyrie, that's a similar thing.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. So I was watching another podcast.
Yeah, see, exactly. You're telling me I'm watching too many.
On Mascara Gate. But yeah, so I'm excited for Kyrie to
I'm excited for Michaela.
Yeah, we'll see. She started posting videos like nothing happened. Like just nothing happened. She didn't do her like apology video that people were expecting.
Yeah.
And I kind of have to give her kudos for like moving on.
Like she's just moving on with her life.
She probably made L'Oreal so much friggin' money.
How many views she had on that?
Because it's 60 million views, and everybody
on that one video.
And everybody was like, okay, well, I'm gonna buy the mascara and see if it's good or not. And like a lot of other makeup influencers are like, let's see if she's lying, blah blah blah. So they're just promoting the mascara all in all.
I heard it's a pretty good mascara too.
We'll see.
From what I was overhearing one of your podcasts.
Yeah, I heard it was like pretty good.
Telescoping.
I like L'Oreal mascara.
Yeah. I used to have L'Oreal shampoo. Do you remember when it used to be like a little fish shaped bottle?
Oh yeah, the no tears.
No tears.
Yeah, I think that
the commercial got me.
All that. Okay. So here's my drinks today.
Oh yes, goodness.
We have
Fiji.
We have the coffee, the poppy. This is the watermelon flavor. And it's really good. I like this one too. And then we have Fiji water. Story behind this Fiji water.
Oh god, most expensive water bottle. Most expensive water bottle.
This episode, we're going to get into everything about our visit to MD Anderson in Houston, and Rib requested some water bottles.
So there was water bottles in the room that had Intercontinental brand name on it, and I just figured if I ordered water bottles, they would just charge me for the same one.
No, yeah, or like the complimentary water bottles that they give you in your room. Yeah. You said, can I get
8 water bottles?
8 more water.
But she told me the price was $19. And so I was like, oh, that's not bad for dessert. And
you ordered dessert and some water bottles.
I was like, that's not bad.
Oh, okay.
$19 not, I mean, I was like, I got 2 desserts. I got 2 desserts and water bottles.
So he ordered 8 water bottles, and friggin' they came
8
with 8 Fiji water bottles,
And
probably at what, like $10 a pop.
That was stupid. I don't know why. I don't know why I took it. I was like, okay.
Bill at the end, like when it was attached to when we're checking out, I was like,
Yeah.
because of the friggin' Fiji water
That's
bottles.
first world problem.
So I'm gonna be chugging this today.
We probably have like 4 more left.
Yeah, we have a couple left.
Freaking $80.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, today's episode, we're going to get all into our experience with MD Anderson. But first, let's get into our first segment, Peaks and Pits.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go first?
Yeah. My peak for the week is I went golfing yesterday, and I haven't been golfing probably since like October, November. And it was just fun. It was great weather, as you heard from the weather report. And actually played. I'm not that good at golf, but just learning golf has been fun. And actually, I played pretty decent yesterday by my standards, and it was fun. Like just being out there.
Did you get tired, or like how did you feel?
I didn't get tired in the sense of like cancer tired, but I was just tired in the sense of like it was a long weekend. MD Anderson came back. I worked out a little bit, and then going to golf.
Yeah.
And I wasn't golf conditioned.
That's a different type of conditioning.
Yeah.
At one point, you were so conditioned to golf.
That's all I did. I still sucked. But it was
so
fun.
You did 18 holes yesterday?
Yeah, it was 4 of us. We did 18 holes, and it was fun. We did this game called Wolf, which is the person teeing off gets to pick their teammate, and you just try to win that hole that you're playing on.
Oh, okay.
And you just add. And so throughout every hole, you have like a different teammate, or you could have the same. But it was fun and good friends, so it was a good time. And my first time going out there. Now I have like an itchy game. Like I want to go.
Yeah, I feel like
Thursday, Friday.
I feel like once you start, you can't stop.
I kind of want to go before I go back to MD Anderson, but
you should.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
We used to have he was like so obsessed with golf before he got sick. We had a country club membership where we were the only. For sure, you were the only person of color there.
Well, there's a few others, a handful probably.
And it was so funny. That's for a different,
that's
different
a long
day.
story. Our pool incident.
Yeah. Okay. So, go ahead.
My pit for the week is I had a pit yesterday, but today it's different. My pit is gonna be. I got a bunch of tests done at MD Anderson on today's Monday, on Friday.
Right.
And no results came back on that day. Nothing on Saturday, Sunday, and nothing today so far. And I'm just so anxious to see. And these tests will show me where all the cancer has spread.
Right.
Which kind of tells me how aggressive this is, which is not, like, the more aggressive, obviously, is not good. So it's like, oh, God, I'm just, like, sitting here waiting.
Like, refreshing your email.
I've literally haven't refreshed my email so much. I've been refreshing it every couple minutes. And then on top of that, that's already got me worried. And then I never drink coffee. But for some reason today,
oh, my God, man.
I drank coffee. Yeah. And I'm like, why did I drink coffee? I don't know why
I
drank
jittery.
Coffee. So I'm like jittery, and I'm like anxious, and I'm like worried. And then the doctor messaged me and is like, she asked me this at the appointment. If I really think about it, she's like, hey, can you make sure to get, some lab results that I took here in San Antonio?
Right.
So she mentioned that, and I was like, why is she asking me that? Like, is she trying to get a step ahead of it to make sure she has everything together to tell me? And I mean, that could be true, but it's like, oh my gosh, like,
yeah, it's one of those things where like
now she's not answering my messages.
Yeah, where like you can't help but spiral when they're when she ultimately is probably just trying to stay on top of it, but not for any other reason, or I don't know, but that's probably like one of the last components she needs, because you got so many friggin' tests, like you got so much of a comprehensive workup.
One of the people in the support group I called, I guess this is the part that stuck in my head, was like, yeah, the test results come so fast. And like my blood results came literally an hour later. Yeah,
but you got your stuff on a Friday after
I know,
evening.
Yeah. But you think they're backlogged?
Stop. That's one of those things where it's like, no matter how much I tell you to not worry,
I'm just like waiting.
I can only imagine. I completely understand. But I think there's one of those things where you could really like you could really work yourself.
Yeah, like I feel like I did stuff today, but like you kind of get paralyzed. Like you're just like, oh, like I can't do anything until I know.
You're waiting, yeah. And then it's one of those things like once you know, or once you read it, then that's like a whole nother
Level of,
sequence or level of emotions
Yeah.
that I think in my head, I've just been like, I'm not waiting. I mean, I am technically like waiting for results as well, but I kind of told myself like, until we see the results, I'm going to try and like not worry about waiting for the results.
Yeah,
But
I
that's
get that.
easier
It's
said
like,
than done on
yeah.
my behalf than yours. But I foresee a big emotional shift once we get those results.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully everything
Like
is
a good result. But it's like,
is
yeah, it's
okay,
just,
but-
oh, man. You can't help but think they're not telling me the results yet because they just want to make sure they have a plan. Hey, it's going to be okay. We're gonna, you know what I mean?
I mean, but ultimately that would be great because you have yet to get somebody to
Yeah, that's true.
deliver because
Yeah.
of that other doctor that we've talked about in the last 2 episodes in Dallas who just didn't have that bedside manner
Yeah.
or that delivery or empathy. Like that would be great if somebody came to you and said, hey, it's, worst case scenario spread everywhere, but we have a plan and here's how we're going to tackle it. Like that would be great. I mean, it's obviously not ideal, but we have not received that level of care yet.
It'd be crazy, dude. Whatever the results are, like even if it hasn't spread or if it hasn't spread, I mean, we know it's in the lungs, but it's like it's just that's the pit, just like anxiously waiting for. I got so many tests from, which we'll go into more, but just so many tests where you're just waiting for every single result.
Yeah, I think we should have. I should have done better at not making you coffee this morning.
Well,
Because I
drank
knew-
I drank like espresso a few days ago.
I know, but like I forgot that.
I never drink coffee, by the way.
Yeah, he's so sensitive to caffeine.
Well, I guess coffee has more caffeine than espresso, right?
Yeah, and this one was a big cup of coffee.
Yeah, I
that-
drank the whole thing.
and I shouldn't have made.
I don't know. It was so good. It was so good. Like I got this
Thank
cup
you.
called the Low Ball
From Yeti.
From Yeti, which they're now
Discontinued.
so they're
The
50%
low
off.
ball.
And it was so warm the whole time. It did its job.
I know.
And I was like, it was literally like 11 o'clock, and I was like, this is still warm. I'm
Yeah.
gonna finish this.
Yeah, I use the
Feels cold up,
the
probably.
Nespresso Virtuoso or something like that, and
Yeah.
it has you can use espresso pods, but I like the coffee pods.
Mhm.
So I think it's like, and it's a huge amount of coffee that it makes.
Oh, yeah.
And I should have given you. I just was not thinking.
It
I was
just
like,
felt
sure,
right.
I'll make
Like
my
Monday
baby
morning, I
some
worked
coffee.
out.
Yeah, like sure. And then you chugged it, and
And
yeah,
I had I went to Zedric's this morning, which is like meals already prepared.
Mhm.
And I ate that. I was drinking coffee. I was like, this is perfect. Morning.
And now
That's
that
true, because I wasn't anxious at that time.
no, but that caffeine hits you later, and it lingers a lot longer.
It hit me
for you.
early too, because I was anxious on the car ride.
Meanwhile, I'm chugging my coffee, and I'm waiting for
Oh, I was anxious before that
something
too,
to kick in. Yeah.
What was yours? Peak and pit.
Okay, so my peak. I'll start with my peak when it actually happened today, which I just think was so cute.
Mhm.
So my peak is having a successful trip with Julian, our son, to the grocery store. Let me explain. So every time we've been going, I go to the grocery store. Usually we have them delivered because, first world problems, super privileged to be able to do that, pay that $5 delivery fee. But it's hard to go to the grocery store with a baby. More so, not because Julian misbehaves or anything, but the logistics of getting him around in the grocery store. So up until now, he didn't quite have like the core stability to be able to sit in the grocery cart. So I would have to take him in our stroller. And so because I'm pushing a stroller,
And the Duna's heavy too.
yeah,
Kinda
because
heavy.
I'm pushing a stroller, I can't push a cart as
Yeah,
well.
that's
Like
true.
I look and I tried one time and I was like, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
I was like literally pushing him and pulling the cart. And I was like, Julian's going to get stolen. Like this is
Yeah.
so dumb. So since then I've just been doing small little trips if I can't get them delivered. And I just do the basket. The basket hurts my hand.
Yeah,
You
when it gets too heavy.
When it gets too heavy.
Yeah.
So today I said, before we came to shoot here, I'm like, we need to get groceries because then we'll just keep eating out.
Yeah.
And, we want to get back on track and all of that stuff. So I'm like, come on, Jude, let's go. I needed to get more than a basket full of groceries. So I said, today is the day.
He sits in
He
there.
sits
Did you
in-
carry him into the store?
in the grocery cart. Yeah. I did.
He was sitting pretty good in the video. You sent me.
Yeah, so I parked close. I just get so nervous with parking lots, and I think any mom or any like woman would resonate with this. Like, I don't mess around with parking spots. I didn't before I had a kid. Because you get scared. I always get scared someone's going to kidnap me.
Remember that lady who came out? I was in the parking lot and I was walking out. She's like middle. It was probably like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
And ladies never approach me. Sometimes, but this random lady came up to me. She was like, "Hey, I really need your help. Can you come to my car and help me?"
No,
but yeah, I see what you're saying.
No, so with a girl, with a woman, it's just so scary. And so I've always been very like trepidatious around parking lots. Like, I don't linger. I get in my car, lock the door, like all of that stuff. So with Julian, with the stroller, which is why I like the Doona. Shout out Doona if you want to sponsor. That's completely
Poppy
fine.
and Doona.
Where it's like a car seat that converts to a stroller with one little click. So it's really, really quick and easy. And then like I'm in and out. So today I had to literally like on the way there, I'm like, I'm going to park and then I'm going to open the door. Like I had to go through how I was going to get Juju out as quickly as possible. And then when we come in to the car. So yeah, there was a cart. I parked right next to the cart little parking lot and they had wipes there too, so I like cleaned it. No, like in the thingy. And so I cleaned it. I put Juju in. I strapped him in, and he was like,
was it loose?
No.
Oh wow.
There was like 2 levels, like one for a smaller baby, and then one for probably like a toddler or bigger kid.
Yeah.
And so, and then like we went in there, and I got my stuff really quickly, and then I noticed myself like talking to Julian the whole time, like, here, let's get some avocados.
What was he doing?
And then he was just listening to me, and he was like looking around, and it was just like a really good experience.
That's like another age he's like at.
Yeah, and then I looked like such a mom because it was like his first time, so I was like taking pictures to send to like grandma and Thea, and then like to you and my best friend, and like, and then of course, my sister and my friend was like, you need to get a cart cover. And I was like, oh, yeah. And those are just like those blankets, like to keep it like a little bit more comfortable and sanitary.
He looked fine.
But he loved it. So
and he looked like he was trying to reach for anything?
He was trying to, so since he's teething so badly, he was trying to eat the strap buckle part. And I was like, that is so dirty. So I gave him like a bag of rice to kind of like play with. And then, but this was also, I guess this could be part of my pit. We don't take Julian out in public, to like places that are with a lot of people, like the grocery store. So this was probably one of the first times that I've noticed people staring at Julian, aside from this weekend, which we'll talk about. Yeah. And there was just like a bunch of old ladies like smiling at him, and then there was some like, you could tell like grandpas like smiling, and then Julian smiles back at them, and so they're just like in love. Yeah. And I felt a little protective. I was like, Julian, don't smile at everybody. Dang. Like, why are you smiling at everybody?
That's what you say to me.
Yeah, I'm like, head down, like, you know.
Head down, bite your strap.
And it's hard because I don't want to be like rude, and they're like, oh my god, and I was like, yeah, you know, and you like do that whole thing, but in my head I'm like, we gotta go. Like, it just felt really
like
weird.
The cute kids get looked at. The other ones,
not so much.
Yeah, not so much.
And he's cute.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's
mine.
that's my peak, and my pit is, and I guess this will lead into the conversation for today. So my pit was not being able to go into MD Anderson. So we're driving up Thursday, and we're so excited to meet Dr. Cabanillas.
Yeah, and Dr. Zafaro.
Yeah, all of these doctors that we have lined up for Rib to meet, and I'm looking forward to meeting her. I like looked her up, you know, I did like my research, and she's so impressive, and I was just really excited to meet her and whatever. So we get there at 1, we check into the hotel, we change Juji's diaper, and then we're like, come on, let's go.
Like real quick turnaround.
For this 2 o'clock appointment, we were like on schedule. The drive to Houston is so much shorter than Dallas. So we were like, this is a breeze, you know, great day. We're having like positive vibes, right? Yep. So we get in, we do the valet to the hospital, and they ask us like COVID questions, like have you been exposed to COVID, blah, blah, blah. And then we go to the front desk and you're like, I have an appointment, blah, blah, blah. And I'm in the back, like kind of with
just
Juju.
waiting.
And I'm like, what are they talking about? And they kept looking at me. And so the lady from behind the desk is like, y'all can't come to the appointment because only one person can come.
No kids. No, like babies.
No kids, but only one person can come anyways. So y'all wouldn't be able to come. And she told me in a very nice, like, not
like I get it,
not rude way. And I totally understand. I'm like, yeah, these are literally there was a bunch of like,
it's already cancers. It's like
bald headed, like patients getting treatment, like immunocompromised, immunosuppressed, all of that stuff. So I was like, no problem, trying to hold back tears because I was like, oh my God, like I'm not going to be able
we cried.
Yeah. So, but I didn't want to like lose my stuff in front of her. So I think she could tell I was like upset, but I think she thought I was upset at her.
Yeah.
So she was like, you can always call patient advocacy. Like if you feel like you need to go, then here's the number and you call. I'm not gonna call.
Yeah.
I understand completely.
I probably need to call.
Blah blah blah. Like totally understand. And she was like, I am so sorry. She kind of was like making it worse. Cause we're like, it's fine. It's
like,
fine.
let's get a move on.
Yeah,
we know.
Yeah. So we go back to the valet.
The tough part about that was the whole time. I've been waiting 2-3 weeks for this appointment, as you guys know from the podcast, and it's like. All the times I've called, talked to the
patient
intake
registration,
like multiple insurance things. No one said you can't. There's like a visitor limit, and all the other hospitals we've been to have never had this.
No.
And it's not like I don't get it. Like that, 100% understand. I wish they told us sooner because we had this expectation of coming in like, okay, like my wife's gonna get to meet this doctor. She gets to meet Juji. We kind of get to understand the vibe and another person hearing what the doctor has to say.
I was going to say, it's not like I want to meet her like a friend, like going out for drinks type thing. I wanted to meet her, or I wanted to be there because sometimes, and I'm sure people who have diagnoses, cancer, or other chronic or even like acute diseases have that experience of being very overwhelmed when a doctor is expelling all of this information. So we've had that issue with the other doctor via telehealth in Dallas, where it's just so much information.
Yeah.
And then I obviously want to know how it goes, and Rib has a hard time like relaying the information.
No.
Actually, you do really good, but like there's parts where it's like murky like whatever.
It was more so for Hussein, so we had the expectation that this doctor could be like Dr. Hussein.
Yeah,
in the sense of like
we've never mentioned her name.
Oh well, now we did. The doctor that we're switching from, and her relaying information to me, even if it's me and you, is very hard to understand.
Yeah. So that's kind of why I wanted to go, like not to meet her necessarily, but I just wanted to be a second pair of ears and make sure we understood everything. And like if I have questions, whatever. So it was really disappointing.
Yeah.
So the valet came back and they were like, what happened? And then one of the lady valets, she's like, they didn't let you in, huh? Because of your baby. And I was like, yeah. And I just started crying.
Yeah.
And then I got in the car and I was just like crying, like bloody murder, just because it's just like hits you, it's just
it's a lot of things at once.
Yeah. So, that was
hard too. Like
that was my pit.
I felt like I needed that support for someone to be there.
I know. And then like, it was again, like the movies, how in the first podcast, they like took your ring and you were like, yeah. And then I just saw them like call you back and you like walked away and looked behind and just like waved. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. And it was a long walk too.
Yeah. So, that was my pit. You ready to get into everything?
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into how MD Anderson went. First off, let's like set the scene.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's helpful. I forget that like not everybody is A, from Texas, or B, has had any experience with knowing like what the gravity of what MD Anderson is, the institution of itself. So let's describe in general the size of the Houston, Texas Medical Center.
It's humongous.
It's so big.
Like it's so massive. There's how many hospitals within like a small space?
I don't know. It's like literally just like building
St. Luke's, MD Anderson,
Texas Children's, the BMT Center, like and like multiple buildings
hotels,
per hospital. There's probably like 10 main hospitals there.
What'd you say? What's Ben Taub was there too?
Ben Taub,
Memorial Hermann, I think, was over there.
Yeah, Methodist.
Methodist.
some Baptist thing.
It's like all in like this small.
But in like this, yeah, what, a couple of blocks.
Yeah.
Like it like surpasses the Dallas Medical Center, San Antonio, the
Yeah,
other
I
ones
think
we've
so
been
too.
to, the Austin one, obviously. But
Yeah.
so it's just so massive, and it's like kind of incredible too.
Yeah.
And fun fact, we lived there. Me and Rib lived there back in 2016 when we were in our doctoral
Yeah,
program.
2015, 2016.
Yeah, and in that doctoral program, you had to do what's called clinical rotations, where you go and you basically work for free as a physical therapist.
Tell them how far.
Okay.
So Liv found the apartments for us, or it was like a condo. Well, no, what do you call that? It was a duplex. It was a quadplex.
Quadplex. So it's just a small little rinky dink.
And
one bedroom.
Liv set it up. Set everything up. We're staying together for the first time, kind of when we started dating and stuff. First time living together, and we're at the quadplex for the first night, and it's like a Sunday. Monday comes up. That's when we start rotation. So Sunday night, I'm just looking up how far, my clinic that I have to do rotations at is. And I look it up. I'm like 45 minutes to an hour. I'm like, wow. I'm like, let me guess, Liv, how far is yours? How far was your place from?
Mine was a 2-minute walk.
A 2-minute walk. She got someplace literally next door for her. Made my ass drive 45 minutes to an hour one way, and so back and forth is 2 hours.
I think I just panicked because it was quick turnaround of we needed to find a place to live, and I did another rotation before you and I did a rotation in like the summer before with my girlfriends.
Yeah.
Shout out Molly, Sam, and Nikki D. And that apartment we rented through like this guy who rents out apartments to med students, not in a creepy way, but like a fully furnished, you don't have to it takes the guesswork out of everything. So I'm like, let's just use him. And I emailed him. I was like, what do you have? He's like, I have this across the street from Texas Children's. And I was like, I'm going to Texas Children's.
Yeah.
That's perfect. And it was kind of like that knee jerk booking.
Yeah. I mean, it worked out.
I didn't.
It was nice. It was a good spot.
Yeah. So we drove back there on
It literally
Thursday.
The hotel we booked for this weekend, was right behind or right in front of the apartment we stayed at, and not unintentionally. We just kind of booked it.
Yeah. And Houston's so big,
Yeah.
so it's not like this small town where it's
Like
like
if you looked
it's
out the
only
window, you
hotels.
could see the apartment.
Yeah,
which is
and
crazy.
it was like really, really surreal to be back there with Juju specifically. And I was like, man, this is where we lived. We grinded it out for 4 months. We like fell for each other more, and we had such a cool like story there.
I remember watching like the NCAA final, North Carolina, Villanova.
Yeah.
The game-winning shot there.
Yeah.
Steph Curry and the Thunder when he hit that shot like from half court to win the game. Like those are the things I
That's
remember
what
most.
you remember? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not anything significant about our relation. Okay.
No. Were you there?
So yeah, that was really special. So we got to drive by there and just like kind of be in that area, and like the hotel was really
There's a
nice.
Burger King where you were like, I haven't had Whopper in 20 years, and I was like, I haven't had it in 5.
Yeah.
Let's get a Whopper.
Yeah, we got a Whopper.
Whopper.
So we got there. Or I guess you met with Dr. Cabanillas.
So we got there on a Thursday, Friday, full of appointments, and I'm talking about. I didn't know.
You didn't know Friday was going to be full.
I don't know if Friday's going to be full. I knew Thursday was going to be a little tiring. So Thursday was a doctor's appointment, labs. Doctor's appointment went well. Dr. Cabanillas is awesome. If you have this kind of cancer or any thyroid cancer, I mean, try regardless of severity, try to get yourself into MD
So
Anderson.
she's endocrinology.
She's one of the few
oncologist.
endocrinologists, oncologists, I think in the nation.
Yeah, it is like one of, I think, under 20. So it's
something like that.
super, super specialized.
Yeah. And usually what happens is you need an endocrinologist eventually and an oncologist. So those two doctors have to work together, communicate, decide on treatment. But like, luckily for her and luckily for us, like she's all in one.
Yeah.
And so I met her and it was awesome. And the crazy part is like, from meeting her, she told me so much about my cancer and a completely different approach to treatment than what I got at UT Southwestern with the doctor I had there. For instance, the plan up to this point, before I met Dr. Cabanillas, was surgery, radioiodine. That's just what's been grilled into me.
Which we talked about last podcast of we're going to MD Anderson to hopefully schedule our RAI.
Yeah.
Which has changed a bit. But
Yeah. And so up to this point, I was just like, okay, end of February is going to be RAI. That's all I've been told for the past like 3 months. And like, you have to get RAI. That's the first treatment. RAI stands for radioactive iodine. And so I meet Dr. Cabanillas, and she's like, yes, like RAI is the treatment, but our goal first is to see what kind of cancer this is. And so my cancer is poorly differentiated thyroid carcinoma, PDTC to be short. And there's a spectrum, right? You have papillary cancer, which is the good type, very curable. You have the anaplastic, which is very aggressive and not the best type to get. But poorly differentiated falls into everything in between those two. So that's a wide range.
Right.
So I guess my understanding is we need to find out, is it closer to papillary? Is it closer to anaplastic?
Right.
And based on where it falls and the aggressiveness of it, it determines, do we need to have another surgery first? Do we need to start like a form of chemo, TKIs first? Do we need to, or can we do RAI first, you know? And so.
And up to that point, we had not been given those avenues. That was the first we heard of, like, that
was the first time a doctor has been like, we need to do tests, we need to do all these things to know more. Because up to that point, everyone's been like, let's just get this one thing. And my brother, who's a physician, has been asking, why not get these 10 other things? They're like, it's not needed at this time. And we're just trusting those doctors to be like, okay. And the problem is, like, I understand, like, even as physical therapists, there's things we don't know how to treat.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to treat pediatrics.
Right.
Vice versa. Doing an ortho would be new kind of to you. And so, and not that we're in the same boat as these doctors, but like, if I acted like I knew how to treat a pediatric patient, that wouldn't be in the best interest of a pediatric patient.
Right.
So some of these doctors, not that they don't know these thyroid cancers, but I mean, you're going to MD Anderson, who pretty much see this throughout the day.
Right. Yeah. I think that's what was really like eye-opening was Dr. Cabanillas had such a different perspective than, let's just say her name, Dr. Hussein.
Yeah.
In terms of way more details, way more of a plan, way more of a protocol, and even like that she was even familiar with obviously the cancer type, which is a very rare cancer.
Yeah.
But she had, like, for any question you asked, it seemed like she had not only an answer, but she had like a patient who had that experience. So it was like, you know, it was a combo of patient experience and obviously what she knows, which was really refreshing to hear her.
Yeah,
and she was so confident.
The biggest thing she gave me from that first one was hope. Like, I haven't got it up to that point. Not that.
No.
Actually, I haven't got up to that point from the doctors. And she was like, you know, there's a long way to go. We need to figure out what this is. She gave me hope because of my age. She just gave me statistics, keeping it real at the same time, but there was hope there.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like they were looking at me like, oh, I'm going to die.
Yeah, you know, or like when we said in the last podcast how Dr. Hussein like opened the telehealth with, this isn't good.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't come in and be like, this isn't good. Like, she, you know.
She asked me who I was.
Yeah, and she took the time, and you said her fellow was really good too.
Yeah, her fellow was awesome, like very sincere and genuine.
Maybe share the experience about how she was saying, one, it could be two different things in your neck and chest, and then like, also how you could have had this in your chest for a long time.
Yeah, that's the weird part about this, because it's not like, I always thought cancer was like, if you have cancer, you have this kind of cancer, this is what you do. But with the cancer I have, it's like, it could be one type of cancer in my neck and a completely different type of cancer in my chest, which could be a good or bad thing. Like,
yeah.
The cancer in my neck could be the more aggressive one, and the cancer in my chest and my lungs could be the good one that's very curable.
Right.
And not that it means anything, like, it's not guaranteed, but, you know, since I'm younger and the slower growth could be like, you know, the good one in my chest. There's a higher percentage, hopefully.
Right.
Right. And even the fact of like these mutations, you know, they don't just show up out of nowhere. They don't just come within a year. You know, my understanding is I could have had these mutations in my blood or in my body, in my DNA since I was 20.
Yeah, that's
but the question becomes like, why did it changed it the past year or two? And that's the questions that she's asking, because
which is good.
Yeah, because it gives us insight into the future.
Right.
And is this rapidly changing more? do we need to be more aggressive with treatments now so it doesn't change quickly into something like anaplastic, right? Like, is it more aggressive?
Right.
Or is it more the papillary?
Right. And even she talks about, and I know this is probably confusing to a lot of people with all these terms, but we've heard it for so long, you get really familiar with it. But like, she was even saying, we could, based on all the things we will find out, is there a chance we could even redifferentiate it, which would mean go from, it's more from poorly differentiated to a differentiated type of cancer,
which would be like papillary,
which would be great.
Yeah, which would be great.
Because it's highly treatable.
Yeah. And it's not that I think that the key is like, it's not that she told us all these things. So some of the stuff like I still haven't processed yet or understand, but she gives you hope because she's confident in what she knows.
Yeah.
And when I look back at my previous appointments with my other doctor, I know she knows what she's talking about, but I think when we talked about it in a previous episode, when she told me not to worry, it was probably more her not being confident.
Yeah, that's a good observation.
I mean, maybe. I'm not saying I can't speak for her, but from my perspective, it's like, was because you're unsure of the outcome and you're just following this approach that everyone does. Like, how was MD Anderson in the hospital I was at before completely different?
Yeah.
In terms of how they're operating, that's kind of questionable, right? Like, you want to make sure, you're following these guidelines.
I think even the doctor we were seeing before had this method that we were talking about with RAI of to get better uptake for the cancer cells to get destroyed with the RAI. There is a method called withdrawal method where they withdraw the drugs you're on now,
levothyroxine,
the levothyroxine, to make it hungry for that iodine.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
And that's probably the first time that we were like, that sounds a little weird. So it's called the withdrawal method versus what the Thyrogen shot method or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So Rib has his appointment at MD Anderson, and he's talking to Dr. Cabanillas' nurse. His nurse or her nurse, and he's like, "What are your takes on the withdrawal method for this?" And she's like, "We don't do that here."
Yeah, like,
and I think that's kind of like what you're saying is like that. It just shows like the levels of experience and where you should be.
Yeah.
But what's scary and what I always think about is like not everybody has this opportunity to, which we are very aware of, like to just switch like that or get into MD Anderson or afford to be there or like drive there. People are like all over the world who try and come here, and ours was just like a 3-hour drive.
Correct.
So I worry because it makes me upset that there's doctors, and it's not like she was intentionally being malicious or negligent or abusive.
It's a rare cancer.
But wouldn't you think that because it's rare and wouldn't you just say, I fold, I got to take you to,
I think that's the thing. I don't know if she knows she doesn't know.
Which is scary. Yeah. Like I think that's like what's so alarming is like
for her, when we talked on this is the doctor we switched from, when we talked on the last appointment, she was like, yeah, I have quite a few with this, and this is what we did.
And you were trying to say, like, how much is quite a few?
Yeah.
And it did not sound like what Dr. Cabanillas' roster is.
Sure.
So I think that was just, I think it's like in the back of our head, like, dang, like, or at least mine. It's just, I think it's just incredible. That's all.
It's different. And so that was Thursday's first appointment, was that, and then getting blood tests back. And that was great. Like Thursday, we kind of got to hang out. And then as I'm going through Thursday, I'm looking at my visits for Friday, and it's all day of testing.
You are booked.
Yeah, like
booked
from
and busy.
6 a.m. in the morning until literally like 5 p.m.
Yeah.
And it's CT scan with contrast. It's a meeting with a surgeon. It's a fine needle biopsy with the ultrasound, and then it's a PET scan. And these tests are kind of scary because it's like, I think that's what I'm realizing with this whole thing. I know for the rest of my life, I'm going to have periodic tests.
Right.
And these periodic tests, you're hoping obviously don't show anything more than what's already, than the previous test.
Right.
And so I get all these tests, and these tests are really to tell, not only set a baseline, but also tell, hey, is something growing? Like, is something growing more? What was left out from the surgery?
where else is
Yeah,
the
the PET
cancer?
scan is to show where else is it in the body.
The PET scan measures like metabolic rate.
Yeah,
Right.
metabolic
So
activity.
it lights up like it's yellow. It's like one of those heat sensor things where it's
I
different
don't-
colors. I looked it up.
Oh, it is.
And so I think it shows yellow for like
Yeah.
high metabolic activity, which indicates that type of
Yeah.
like metastasis.
They for the PET scan, my first time getting a PET scan, and I know none of us really knew what to expect, but I thought it was going to be a scan you take, and it takes an hour or two for the scan to get done.
Mm-hmm.
But literally, I go back there, and they put me in this small room, which is probably the size of like someone's bathroom, like our bathroom or something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the size of this room. And you're sitting in a chair, and the chair it's like a recliner chair, but the recliner can't go all the way around in a full circle. It barely moves like this.
Oh wow.
And the nurse comes in, and she was so sweet. And I have an IV in me from the morning. And she comes in with this like heavy tungsten container. And it's literally like, she's like, puts it down and it makes a noise.
What's a tungsten?
It's like, tungsten's like a heavy metal.
Oh.
And it's like, it's thick. It's probably like this thick.
Mm-hmm.
And she unscrews the top, and you see like a needle's in there, like a syringe is in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what is this? She's like, well, this is radioactive. We deal with this all day. The tungsten prevents the radioactiveness of whatever's in this needle from coming out. I was like, oh, and I'm like, oh, well, you're gonna put it in my body, but I have to have it.
Yeah.
And so they put it in my body, and they're like, you have to sit here for an hour. And I'm like, oh, I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And she's like, yeah, you have to sit here for an hour. I was like, okay. I was like, can I have my phone? She's like, no. She's like, you can't have anything, like even
it's
playing.
radioactive.
No, she's like, we want to make sure whatever we just injected in you goes to the areas it's needed. Any movement causes, it's like glucose.
Well, I see.
Your muscles will absorb it. She's like, even playing with your phone, it'll show hot spots in your like
You did tell
forearms.
me this.
Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, so she's like, you just got to sit here in the recliner for an hour.
Oh my
And literally, it's
God.
like a little, and the room is like so small, and everyone's really nice, and you're supposed to drink a lot of water. And she's like, pee as much as you can. So for that hour, I was drinking a bunch of water, peeing as much as I can, and you're literally sitting in a recliner, and there's just like, I'll never forget it. There's a recliner, and right in front of you on the wall is like a painting of a picture. And these are all over MD Anderson. Like if you're laying in a CT or a PET scan or in these rooms, there's these like scenic pictures. Like it looks like, if you know the Masters Augusta, like it looks like paintings or pictures of that. So you're sitting there, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like just waiting for an hour. I fall asleep.
Oh.
And yeah, that's not
good.
bad. And I wake up, and like 10 minutes later after I wake up, they come get me. And like I go into the PET scan. And as you're laying in the PET scan, you look up at the ceiling, there's another scenic picture. Like, and that's everywhere.
It's just very inspirational.
Yeah, and so that was the PET
cool.
scan. The CT scan. The CT scan is like you're getting, and all of this is like they're not drawing blood. You're getting injected with something so that the test can see, where everything is.
Yeah.
So I got injected for the CT scan with contrast, and that's crazy because it's like you're injected,
You feel it.
and they're like, you're gonna feel this warmth all over your body for like a minute, and you do, like your mouth gets metallic all of a sudden.
That's so weird.
You're just laying there, and it's kind of scary the first time. It's the first time I actually like felt sick. Not like I actually was like sick, but it's like I have cancer. Cause like you're injected with. Remember I told you the first time I had the test.
Yeah.
In Dallas. This is my second CT with contrast I've ever had, so I kind of knew what to expect. But anyways, you take this contrast, and you get like head to toe. Like it's crazy how like you just get so warm.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all of a sudden like some heat, and your mouth gets metallically, and then it goes away.
That's crazy.
And you're just supposed to like drink a lot of water to pee
Yeah.
as much as you can, and use the bathroom as much as you can. That was a CT, and then the next one was an ultrasound
Of the neck.
of the neck, and the ultrasound is a very nice tech. She's like, examining the right side of my neck, the middle of my neck, the left side of my neck, and she's looking for any lymph nodes that have, cancer in it. And they find 2 in my neck, which is not surprising. And then they have to do a fine needle biopsy. So you're laying there,
So
and they come with
much.
a lidocaine. And this sounds so bad when I'm saying it, but a lot of this like hurts, but it's not like you're in a lot of pain throughout the day.
Oh sure, yeah.
It's just like in those moments you're more like,
It's kind of annoying too.
it's like annoying. You're like oh, like I have cancer. Like I
Yeah.
have to go through this.
Right. It's like very.
You're thinking these thoughts. At least I was. And so, anyways, like the fine needle biopsy is they find a lymph node with cancer in it. They cleaned the area. For me, it was right under my left clavicle. And they injected me with lidocaine there. That was probably the most painful part, but it's not that painful.
Yeah.
And so you feel a small burn from the alcohol
or
the lidocaine going in. And then they just guide literally a fine, very thin needle all the way into your neck. And I can hear him pumping something to get it out. And I asked, they're like, no, I don't know what it was. But then they put the sample into something else and they send it to the pathologist to make sure the sample's good enough. So for me, they took the sample. They're like, we think we're good, but just wait here for 30 minutes. I wait there again for 30 minutes. I fell asleep again. And they come back in. They're like, we got to do this whole thing again. We didn't get enough. And so they put lidocaine again for the second time. And it's not like all this sucks, like physically pain-wise.
Well, just like I think a very emotionally draining
it's very mental
day, very mentally exhausting because it's like a time thing. Like you're there all day, you don't know where you are, and then all of this is because you have cancer.
Yeah, that's what you're thinking.
So it's like very and I think a lot of it too is like, and I don't want to speak for you, but like you don't feel bad. Yeah. So it must be really like surreal to be there.
Yeah, it's
because you have cancer, but you're feeling fine.
I even heard one of the people working with me after they gave me stuff. I could hear her in the hallway. I know she didn't mean anything by it, but she was like, "My patient's so young," and you know, you hear it, and it's like
you are.
I was like, I am.
Yeah,
like,
it was weird. Like when we were going in before, I was not able to go in to the main entrance of MD Anderson. There's just so many people with cancer walking around, and they're all older, and like it was me, you, and Juju, like a very new family, young family. And
so, but those are the tests I had that day, and I spoke to someone from the Julie from the support community with PDTC afterwards, and she's been so helpful.
Her doctor is Dr. Cabanillas.
Yeah, Dr. Cabanillas. So she has like, insight into this and insight to her own cancer and her own, I won't speak for her, but her own cancer and her own life, and hearing her gives you hope too. And so that Thursday, Friday, I've had a lot of hope. Like, because it's, it sucks at the end of the day, regardless.
Sure.
But like you meet a good doctor finally, you meet a good surgeon. Surgeon was awesome. Very like.
Let's talk about the surgeon and his PA.
Yeah. So the PA, Growing up in the Indian community, every Indian person knows another Indian person. That's how small it was growing up.
Yeah.
It's not like you don't come across someone and you're like, you're a friend of a friend, or like we know of each other.
Especially in Dallas and Houston.
Yeah, it's like you just see everybody. I mean, not so much nowadays, I would say, but like maybe in the early 90s, 80s, there's just only so many Indian people in Dallas and Houston to where like if you saw them, you'd be like, what part of India are you from? Like you just ask because it's just so small. Like I said, not so much now. Like, there's a lot of people I don't know now.
Right.
But anyways, I go to on Friday, I have the CT scan. After that, I have an appointment with the surgeon. And the first person that walks in is this Indian guy who I didn't know directly. We kind of knew of each other. Like I've knew of him.
Y'all gave each other the look. Like,
like knew of him. But he knew people that I were friends with growing up.
Yeah.
And it was good because it's like, okay, like this sounds weird, but it's like someone from the same community that knows you, that knows the way you grew up,
right?
That knows the churches you attended growing up, and knows, hey, even though he didn't say this, and I don't know if he means this, but you kind of like, I got you. And like the way we were talking was like, okay, like I got it. Like this is not, this is different because it sounds bad, but this is different because it's like someone from our community.
No, totally. Yeah. It's like
not that he wouldn't do that for anybody else, but
right. But I'm sure and again, don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm sure he felt the same too. Like, it's similar to like if we have patients who we know from back in the day who we run into each other and they're now your kind of patient.
Yeah.
You like take care of them in a different way.
Yeah, because like their parents, like it's just like you kind of all grew up together, even though we didn't necessarily know each other.
Y'all played basketball together.
Yeah, like
in tournaments.
I played it since I was 12, and he's only a couple years older than me, and I of course did. Like he's been in this thing since as long as I can remember too, and so that helped a lot. And the surgeon was really cool, very down to earth.
The surgeon is again like Dr. Cabanillas is super specialized, like
and super qualified.
and it's crazy. Like God bless like science and these doctors who literally like dedicate their lives. You know, it's so freaking hard to be a physician and then specialty after specialty after specialty, and then a surgeon. So,
and he specializes in. It seems like it online. He pretty much does these thyroid cancers.
yeah, he does. Yeah, he sits on the board of thyroid cancer or endocrinology, oncology, and thyroid, like some like trifecta. Yeah,
I don't know how to pronounce it.
I don't know either. But so he was really nice, and he took the time to kind of go through like if X then Z, like a lot of scenarios.
Yeah. I mean, he gave me realistic too. He's like, you're going to need another surgery. He's like, you're going to need it.
Yeah.
He's like, you have lymph nodes in there that weren't taken out during your first surgery. I don't know why they weren't taken out.
Which we don't know why.
Like they showed up on the CT scan that I got before surgery, and they're there now, which is some hope too. Like they're still there and they haven't grown a lot.
So that was the test that was in the CT. What we were like hoping is he got a CT on On Friday. And that was going to be a big tell as to the next step. So if Rib got this CT of his neck and there was a new mass or a new tumor growing or new...
Which we haven't got the final report yet, but so far.
But per the CT and what he could see.
Yeah.
Like if there was new growth or rapid growth, that would be concerning one. And then that would indicate like a quicker turnaround for surgery.
Which you're trying to avoid because it's only been like 6 weeks.
It hasn't been long since your whole... neck was cut open and there's swelling, and so the swelling, it's risky to do a surgery this quickly. So we were that was a big win, I think, so far for like what we could tell or what he was indicating was there's nothing new. For some reason, these lymph nodes are
so
still
far
there.
Like we don't know the final results yet.
So
That's
far, but
for,
I mean, I was like, great. I was thinking like, he's going to see the CT and there's going to be another friggin' softball tumor growing.
Which
like
is good. It's not growing that quickly
far. So,
but
there's some hope and stuff, but he was really great.
He was good. I mean, the overall, like even the way MD Anderson operates, like it's completely different from some other hospitals, which I didn't know what to expect when I went in, but I didn't expect it to be that different. But it's different in a good way. Yeah. Like I know we, Liv and Juju couldn't go in, but I understand it. Like it's cancer
totally,
patients.
Me too. Yeah, absolutely.
And even like I walked in, they gave me a full schedule of my day. You know what I mean?
I think that was something cool too, because I think I suppose it's because it's such an institution that they know people fly in from all over the world to get care there. So I think they're used to like getting as much as they can in a couple of days while you're here. So I mean, it was really a lot for you, but I think grand scheme zoomed out that you knocked out all of that. I'm happy I got it all 2 days.
Instead of like in Dallas, I had to go multiple times to get everything done.
Yeah, we were always there,
and like even little things like to go, a couple of my appointments were at different buildings, and they have this huge sky bridge that connects for MD Anderson to everything. Like, and I'm not talking like a small bridge. This is probably the biggest. And it's like covered. It's air conditioned.
Yeah,
it's so nice. It's like scenic. It's like elevated. Yeah, and it's like a 2-lane highway. Yeah, there's like a shuttle going back and forth in the bridge. There's people and doctors walking back and forth. And as you're walking, there's like exits. Like go to the hotel this way. The hotel that connects to MD Anderson that they own. Yeah, run by Marriott.
That will probably stay if you do treatments and stuff.
Or you keep going down and you take this to this building. I'm like, oh my gosh, like. It's like a mile walk, but it's like not bad walk. Right. And it's just things like that, like organized and like the people know they're confident. I know people that went there and are doing great. Yeah. Yeah. And it just makes you feel hopeful and it makes you feel. Yeah.
And I think it makes you feel a little bit more in control too of like how you can manage your emotions too. Cause I think like with the other doctor, every time, I mean, in the last podcast, I mentioned I had a panic attack because of doing a visit with her. So, the fact that it was here and you were calling me with energy and excitement and confidence is like so major. And I think that's how it should be, obviously. And
Yeah.
it's almost like a blessing in disguise that we got the comparison, like the bad part of what
Yeah.
that could be like, because now we are kind of on this track where it's feeling pretty positive.
Sure, yeah. And like even it's so positive, and I know I was anxious about my test, but like talking through it on the podcast is very helpful.
I knew we had to just talk it through.
And it's like even if
You want
they're
some water?
the $10 one.
I feel like you should drink
Jesus
some water.
Christ, yes. That better
Have you
taste
had
like
water today?
me. Yeah, we have a nice person I work with who puts water bottles into our fridge.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Shout
I
out to
think
Fia.
I think it was really a good experience. We stayed at the Intercontinental, which highly recommend. It's across the street from Texas Children's Hospital. But like Rib said, if we have to do treatments and stuff, we'll probably stay at the Rotary Hotel, which is like
Yeah,
where MD Anderson patients.
Yeah. it's nice. I
reside.
mean, I think if you have any cancer, if you have the opportunity to get into MD Anderson, I think you
Definitely. It was really impressive. It was just cool to be back in that. I mean, obviously not back in like to MD Anderson, but it was nice to be back in like such a hub of like the med center and just the energy,
should. City life.
city life, and there's just
We're
people
just city
walking
folk.
everywhere, and I love Houston.
The local, what is it called? DART there? What is the train? What is it? The local train
I don't
subway?
like the Metro Rail.
Yeah, everyone's taking the Metro Rail
Yeah, and,
or
like
whatever
there's
it's
students
called.
everywhere, and
like,
I highly recommend, like, if you're in the medical profession in any
And, like-
capacity, if you want to learn, you go to the
yeah, and
Houston
after work,
Med Center.
everyone's just tired and doesn't talk to each other, and so you're like,
Yeah.
you're just like,
Everyone's like, oh, long day, and yeah, all of that.
and so we were like that too.
Yeah, and we got to go back to like our old stomping grounds, Rice Village, which
Boss.
is
Istanbul Grill,
went back to our favorite
Islander kebab.
we got to
Oh,
our
yeah.
favorite restaurant in Rice Village, which we were like, hopefully it's still there, because with like COVID and stuff, like all of those.
They expanded.
Yeah, they got a
They got bigger.
makeover. So it was just like really cool. It was super.
The bread was good.
Oh, so good. The pita bread, everything
That's
was
Islander kebab is what I ordered.
delicious. Yeah, highly recommend there.
Hummus.
The hummus.
Someone asked if I was Muslim today.
Really?
Yeah.
And what did you say?
I told
I
her.
feel like anytime somebody
I-
asks
I
you,
tried-
you always
I
have
joked
some
with her.
smart ass
Yeah, I told her I'm a jihadist. It's like, no, I'm not Muslim, but I'm jihadist. I don't think she knew it that bad.
She was like, okay.
I said it for everybody because there's like a bunch of people.
I feel like that's a major tangent, but maybe we'll say that for
Yeah, I
later.
have some funny stories about
People's assumptions about
what I am.
what you are.
I have cancer.
Yeah. I feel like we can use the cancer thing for a lot of things now.
Use it to your advantage.
Yeah, why not? Oh, speaking of which, Jessica,
Oh, Jessica.
Dr. Thomas, which is Ribu, I saw on TikTok, if you call the hotel you want to book and
Yeah.
you pretend you're the executive assistant to whoever and you sound like really professional, you can potentially get upgrades and things like that. So it was my mission to, get us in with the Intercontinental
upgrades.
Hotel. So I called as Jessica to get that upgrade. And what did we get?
Oh, so we got an upgraded room, the lavender suite,
A suite, which we
which we did pay like a little more for a nicer room. But when I checked in, she's like, "Sir, we upgraded you to a nice suite."
Yeah. And
Shout out Jessica.
they were like, your assistant Jessica had called to accommodate or to get the accommodation squared away
Yeah,
before.
we got a crib.
I was like, hell yeah.
What else did we get?
A crib.
They didn't bring the champagne,
They didn't
did
bring
they?
the champagne. So I called a couple of days before, and speaking of the cancer, using the cancer thing,
Yeah.
I was like, hi, this is Jessica. I'm Dr. Thomas's executive assistant. I'm calling on behalf of Dr. Thomas. He booked through the direct site. We're super excited for our stay. However, some plans have changed. Dr. Thomas's wife and 10-month-old baby will be attending this
We're
weekend.
like, we do not care. We do not care.
And so we're going to need some accommodations adjusted. And they were like, absolutely, Jessica. What can we do for you? And I was like, well, we're going to need a crib placed, in the room for his 10
Why do you
month
sound so angry?
for his 10-month-old. I was trying to be really like direct.
Yeah.
And then what else did I say? I was like, oh, so I was like, what's your name? Brenda. So Dr. Thomas has actually just been recently diagnosed with cancer.
Like whispering.
So he does have that appointment booked at the MD Anderson Center on Thursday. Is there any way we can accommodate him to just keep his nerves down? Maybe some welcome champagne or wine in the room or upon arrival? And they were like, Jessica, absolutely.
We should ask for a complimentary Fiji instead of champagne.
So they were like, 100% Jessica, we will definitely make that happen. We are so sorry to hear about Mr. Thomas. I was like, Dr. Thomas.
Tom,
So
here.
we use the cancer thing and the doctor thing anytime, like if we need to. And in my head, I'm like, the cancer thing, we couldn't help. Why not use it?
Yeah.
And the doctor
I
thing,
think you gotta
we
use it.
essentially paid for it. Like so much student loan stuff. Like we pay for it.
Yeah.
We better use it. So, I
Yeah,
got
Intercontinental Houston was nice.
so nice. So I got us an upgrade. I was very proud of
Food was
that.
pretty
The suite
good.
was really nice.
Food was
But
good.
they forgot the champagne, and I didn't want to call.
It's all right. We'll let it pass. Everything else is pretty good.
Yeah, it was really good. So highly recommend staying there. I vlogged the
Yeah.
whole thing too. I tried to on my phone
I did a bad
for
job.
YouTube, which will be the C Word Chronicles podcast on YouTube, just so you can see kind of the day by day type stuff. I tried to keep everybody updated and
Yeah.
stuff, kind of behind the scenes of it. And that was fun to start vlogging again. Rib
Yeah.
had some experience with vlogging in the past, and he's just not a fan.
I can't do it.
Him and John used
Like,
to
I
vlog
can't-
for his. Rib had a cash-based
Comment if you would
practice.
like to see those. We have what, 5? Maybe like 5 episodes.
Yeah,
About
I
4 years
mean, they
ago.
were good. So he was like a little bit PTSD from the vlogging,
Yeah.
but
I just
or
need
more
someone
so
to shoot
himself.
me.
Like if I shoot, if
I mean, with the camera. With the
if
camera.
I vlog him, he's okay. But if I'm like, take the phone to your appointment and vlog
There's
at
so much
the
to worry
appointment.
about.
And he's like, no, and which I understand. It's a lot. It's just,
It's like, what angle do I get to
Yeah.
get ultrasound?
So we'll make it work. But I did vlog the whole thing.
John, actually, do you
on-
know somebody that can do it for cheap?
Follow him around with a
Like real, just like a camera.
camera.
I got to Houston this Friday, so I was like, maybe I can have someone just.
Yeah, he has an MRI on Saturday.
Yeah. 9:15.
9:15. We'll have to
I'll drive to
leave.
Houston.
We'll have to leave early. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm going yet. So generally, how do you feel? Let's wrap it up. Like, how do you feel? How do you feel about your progress or where we're at this far with this new kind of teammate of your team of doctors?
The team I feel
MD
really
Anderson.
good about. I feel like I'm in good hands. I feel like there's nowhere else to go to that's going to treat me the absolute best. And so I feel like I'm in a good place.
Yeah.
I feel like physically I'm feeling well. I'm working out True Fusion like we talked about. I started at Evolve Human Optimization Labs with
Oh,
like
let's talk
cold
about that.
plunge, sauna, infrared sauna. And not that it's like going to stop my cancer, but like, shoot, at this point you're just trying something that helps, right?
Yeah.
It even
There's
slows
been
it down.
like some research on that.
Yeah, like infrared and cold plunge. But
How
for
many
longer
minutes
periods
are
of
you
time.
at for the cold plunge?
Oh, I did the first day.
What is cold plunge for people? that
Cold
don't
plunge is like you're literally putting your body through cold exposure.
know? Via
intolerable.
A ice tub.
Ice tub, or you can do like really cold shower.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they say like at least 30 seconds. I could be wrong on that. Huberman Lab. And anyways, at this facility, it's literally the brand Cold Plunge. I'm pretty sure their tub. That's there.
Oh.
They have 2 of them. And it's just filled with cold water. I forgot the degrees on it, but it's
I think
cold.
you said 40 something.
Yeah, I think it's 40, but I feel like that's warm. But it's not.
No, it's not. That's crazy.
I think one is like 40, one is like 50.
Yeah.
And the first day I went, I could only put my feet in up to my waist. And usually I could just like fight through it and do it, but I was like, I got to get out of here. The second,
that's so cold.
the second time I went, there was this guy. There's a timer on the wall. So right when you get into the tub, you hit the wall, the timer goes off. It counts down from 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
The guy was just sitting there, eyes closed for 5 minutes. Like I was waiting for him to get done. And I was like, wow. Like he did 5 minutes. Of the cold tub.
So I don't think people, I mean, like maybe people get it, but in my head, you're like, oh, it's just 5 minutes. But the second your extremity of whatever kind touches that ice cold water,
and I went from the sauna
like,
to this.
Nope, which is supposed to be really, really beneficial.
And so he did 5 minutes, and it was crowded that day. So like the way it's set up is like the saunas are facing the cold plunge tub. So like there's people sitting in the sauna, so they see you, and I don't want to be like a puss, you know what I mean? And so like in my head, and there's people waiting. There's a guy waiting for me to get done now, and so I'm like, you just gotta do it. So I hop in, and I just close my eyes. I'm like, and up to a minute, baby.
Dang. Wait, where'd the water hit you?
Up to my neck.
Really?
Yeah. I was like,
to get the neck in there.
I was like, I know there's lymph nodes in here somewhere. Let me get up to that at least.
Dang.
And so up to my neck, and it's really cold right when you get in, but as you're in there, it's not.
And you're supposed to like really do a hardcore breathing technique pattern.
I guess
and
so.
all
I
that
was
stuff, but it's
not intentionally.
It's like super hard.
And so I went up to a minute, and I got out, and so I got out, and I was like, let me just go to the Norwegian sauna. Remember, it faces the cold tub. And there was this guy who I was talking to afterwards, really nice guy, who goes in right after me. Remember I told you that the guy that first went was 5 minutes. I was
chilling, literally.
5 minutes, like killed it. I was like, wow, like I want to be him one day. And
he's goals.
He's goals in life for a cold plunge. And then I go in, and I'm like proud of my up to a minute. I'm like exaggerating when I say it's up to a minute. It's probably like 45 seconds, but I'm rounding up. And this guy goes in after me, bald. He has less hair, so it's like it just penetrates to have chest hair, back hair, have all the insulation you can ask for. And this guy goes in, sits down, and I'm watching him. Guess how long he does? 10 minutes. He doesn't even allow. He goes past the timer, past the rules of the place.
Double it up.
And then he puts his head down in there, and his head is down for longer than. I'm like, do I need to come out of the sauna to save him? I'm like. Which I find out he's like a swimmer, so I guess you're a swimmer, so I'm like, I don't know if that's like a thing.
What? No, that's like
staying long underwater. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but 10 minutes, and with
a bald head,
and then he comes into the sauna after me. I'm like, and he's like, you can fit two, but it's like personal.
Yeah.
But he opens. He's like, do you mind if I join you? I'm supposed to say, get your bald ass out of here. So get your cold ball ass out of here. And so he comes in, he sits next to me, and I'm like, how long did you stay in there? That's my first question. He's like 10 minutes. I'm like, how did you do 10 minutes? He's like, I'm a swimmer. He's like, we're in cold water all the time.
Not that cold. And where does he swim? The Arctic? Antarctica?
The place where like the Northeast gym thing
oh, yeah, that's not that cold.
He said it's freezing. And so he's like, yeah, that's why I'm able to do 10 minutes. He's like, I can't do the lower temperature though. And I'm like, I'm like, well, he's human then.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did that. And I was like, wow, Jesus. Like, I thought I wanted to inspire the other guy. Now I want to get bald and
10 minutes.
So anyways, that was a cold plunge. The sauna was cool. It's a cool setup there. It's like a cool thing. So Evolve. Yeah. So like having this team, having Evolve, True Fusion, something new. I feel like it's kind of cliche, like cancer puts a new leash on life.
Oh,
regardless 100%. Of how long the leash is. But
let's talk about how our perspective, like different things have changed. What time are we at?
We're over 1:15.
Okay, so let's real quick touch on like how stuff has changed now that you have like cancer in terms of your perspective on things. For example, for me, if I see somebody like, and this isn't positive, and this is something I'm gonna have to work on like in therapy, but if I see somebody complaining about like something dumb on Instagram or something, I'm like, F you, man. My husband has cancer. Yeah. Like there's so many different perspectives with that where you can almost feel like a little jaded too, but I think that's normal in the beginning to just feel angry. Yeah. I've been so angry at everything with like, oh, you got a new dog.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. It's hard not to minimize everyone else's feelings.
You're pregnant again.
Yeah.
Like, awesome. I don't know. It's petty and it's not me, but I'm like going through that kind of process. And I know we've talked about that too. There's certain things like.
It's definitely hard not to minimize someone else's feelings of what's going on in their life, because in that moment that's their cancer, regardless if it's actually cancer or not. But I think that's the hardest part, is like you're trying, especially feeling physically normal, you're just trying to live your life,
Yeah.
And for the most part, like when there's nothing going on as far as doctor appointments, you feel normal.
Mm-hmm.
But then when there's these doctor's appointments and then you're waiting for test results,
Yeah.
you feel like a cancer patient,
Yeah.
a patient with cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and then you hear, and then like today, as I'm waiting for these test results, I'm hearing issues, like your work things you got to solve, like stupid problems that pop up at work, right? That seem like
Yeah.
easy to solve with a single email. And you're sitting there, you're like, I don't want to do any of this. Like,
yeah.
what's the point? Like we've went over this 100 times. Like you just get like,
I feel
it's
like your
a,
patience gets a little bit shorter
Yeah.
for certain for things that used to like really throw you off,
Yeah.
throw you over the edge
or
beforehand.
like one of the not harder things is like when someone's like, yeah, my friend had cancer and they're good now.
Mhm.
And you're like, it's hard to explain that this is not a cancer that goes away. I don't go into remission.
right.
Right. It's like I just go into stability
Yeah.
and they can pop up anytime. And it's like, oh, that's awesome. And you don't want to be like,
What,
I
what
don't
do
give
you
a fuck.
Yeah, like what do you say to, or it's like, oh, that's not my type of cancer, mine's lifelong. Like,
Yeah,
and
it's
you
like-
don't want to be like the Debbie Downer
Yeah.
of that conversation too. It's really challenging, and I think it's something I'm sure a lot of people with cancer or support teams like myself with their spouse going through it. It's really hard to pull that back and like get that in
Yeah.
control, because I could literally do that all
Yeah.
day over
Like
anything.
I had a conversation with a coworker who I felt was underperforming.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why are you always sad? Like, why are you always upset? And she's like, I'm just in so much pain. And she's older and, you know, she has hip pain and all that kind of stuff. She's like, I have hip pain and all these kind of things. And I just can't do it. And I'm a physical therapist too. And she's a physical therapist too. And it's like, and I couldn't help it. And I was like, listen, I understand what you're going. I have cancer and it's in my lungs and it's not the easiest thing to go through. But I'm not going to come here to work every day and be sad and bring everyone else
Yeah.
down. The issue was she was bringing just the team performance
Like
morale
the
down.
morale was so low when she walked in the door.
Yeah, and so that's what I said, and it's hard when you're having that conversation to not minimize her feelings because to her that's like the most important thing.
yeah.
And
But at the same time, it's like, look, lady, like here's some perspective for it. Like,
Yeah,
and
it's perspective,
and did it not snap her out of that?
I think so. Like I
She
hope, like
she walking
she's
in,
a lot better.
skip to Malou. She's fine.
to her credit, she's brought up her morale. You know.
Yeah, because I think it just gives you some perspective.
And so yeah. I mean, I think that's some of the harder things.
Yeah, it's been tough for sure, and then it's just tough to not be like so mad.
Yeah, so mad, but I'm not really ever a mad person.
No, and not neither am I. But it just sometimes you just get so like angsty.
Yeah. Like today, I just felt like I don't want to deal with anything, and it's not only my fault, probably because I drink coffee too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that the perspective is, I think find support groups, find people that are supportive of you. It's okay to reach out to people. I mean, I do.
You
and
do
to
a
ask
really
for
good
help
job at that,
and like
of reaching out to people.
try to do things that are challenging. Like to me, it's like try to do things that are just as challenging as going through these tests and things like that. For instance, like I did a very hard workout this morning, and while I was doing part of it, I was like, if I can do this, I can go through another CT, or I can go through like chemo. Like I can just tap into that as I'm going through chemo, or if it might be a different type of chemo, but whatever the case may be.
Right.
I can tap
Again,
into.
it's that perspective.
Like when,
if I can do this, I can do that.
like this past weekend when the needle got put into me for like the 5th time, it's like, okay, I can take the needle because I remember I did a hard workout where that was 100 times more painful.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to look at it too, and view it in that way too. Maybe next week we'll talk. So next week is going to be our Valentine's Day episode, where we talk about all things like our couple and love.
Low.
But maybe we'll talk about support groups a little bit more in that episode as well. But let's wrap it up.
Okay.
Thank you guys for watching episode 3 of the podcast. We might not be in this studio next week because we think we're going to do more of a home studio situation because we actually like podcasting. Yeah. So we were renting this studio out to see kind of for the first couple of episodes how we were thinking. I didn't want to invest in like equipment and get something situated at home. If you didn't like it or I didn't like it, or when we watched it back, I was like, this is just not it. Like I wanted it to be good. So we were able to watch the first episode last week. and we both really like it.
Yeah.
And so we're really proud of it. And so we're going to kind of move forward and invest in some equipment so we can podcast in our home, or I think it's going to be my mom's studio.
Yeah.
But it'll be closer to home. And so things might look different for our Valentine's Day episode next week.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that.
Okay.
Okay. Have a great week, guys. Bye.
Bye.